but since it came up, just to kind of kill 5 minutes or so, just in case somebody's right. So I'm doing a teacher training right now. I'm a glutton for punishment. I already did a 100-hour. Now I'm doing another 200-hour. So I'll be 300 hours of training in 1 year this year. But I went to Raw Republic off Magazine Street. I don't know if you guys have heard about it. They do a lot of like cold pressed stuff. And I was talking to the owner, and she came in and talked to us because the diet can only take us so far, right? I mean, I think most of us know that. You know, when we're dealing with, you know, trying to cleanse our body and, you know, and become a healthier lifestyle, you know, diet becomes part of it, but then usually something else. And so, you know, yoga is a great exercise. There's Pilates, there's running, there's going to the gym. There's all kinds of ways, but then even beyond that, there's even some more stuff. But one of the ladies that talked to us, and I'm blanking on her name, she's does acupuncture, but she also does a couple other different healing modalities, I guess you could call it, and one of them is called EFT, or tapping. And so I thought I'd show it to you all real fast, because it's super easy to do, and I think it's amazing. Unfortunately, I don't have my book, so I'm going to kind of paraphrase a little bit. I just did it a couple times, so I'm going to do this from memory. But the idea is you kind of do an internal scan, and you think about anything that may not be feeling 100% right. So I'm just going to kind of make up something. So let's say that, you know, I'm kind of evaluating how I'm feeling today, and my left knee is feeling like a little tweaky, right? Like I've maybe worked out a little bit too hard, and my knee's hurting. And so what you do is you say to yourself, I feel that my knee is hurting, but I remember a time that my knee was okay, or that I felt okay. And then it mixes that kind of self-affirmation, it's kind of like a psychological thing, with Chinese medicine, with the meridians. And so what you do, and this is where the tapping part comes in, is you can take 1, 2, or 3, or 4 fingers, and you gently tap like the karate chop, so that's part right there. And you just say to yourself, I feel that my left knee is hurting, but I remember a time when I was feeling fine. And then the next thing is you move up to above the eyebrows, and you just gently tap above there, and you say the same thing to yourself. I feel that my left knee is hurting, but I remember a time when my knee felt great. And then you move down to the edges of the eyes, and you say the same mantra again. I feel my left knee hurting, but I remember a time when it felt great. And then below the eyes, repeating the mantra. And then beneath the nose. And then at the chin. Repeating the mantra each time. And then slightly below the collarbones, middle chest, you should kind of feel like it should almost be a little tender there. And then lastly, and I always cross my arms for this, it's underneath. There's like this really sensitive spot right in your rib cage underneath your armpits, about 6 or 8 inches down. Still repeating the mantra. It's tapping. It's like an alternative healing. And then lastly, right on top of the head, repeating your mantra. I realize that my knee feels off, but I remember a time when it felt great. And then you can let it go. Then you might do that 1 or 2 or 3 times. You can go and Google tapping, and they give you like the whole kind of thing. And you're supposed to like kind of take stock how you feel at the beginning, and then afterwards you see how you feel again. So like maybe, you know, you feel your pain, and it starts as a 5. And we all went around and did it in the room, and most of us all lowered a level or 2 just with a couple minutes. And you just do it like 2 or 3 times in a week or something like that, and then just see if you feel it. And the idea is basically that we can use our brain to help heal, right? That instead of like we do normally in Western societies, ignore the pain and hope that it goes away, this kind of flips that idea on its head, right? Is that you kind of focus in on whatever doesn't feel right. And you can do it with other things other than just physical elements too. You can do it for, let's say you have fear of public speaking, or fear of spiders, or any of those types of things. Anything that we create in our mind or feel in our mind, which is basically everything, you can use it. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting, thought I would share it with y'all.
Hay House, they have a whole course on it.
Oh, great, perfect, yeah. So, back to yoga and meditation. interesting week for me. I'm starting a new business. So I finally got that word on Friday afternoon. So there's a new moon started September 1, I think, or September 2nd. It's kind of the time of starting new things. And so it's kind of interesting that it's coinciding for me. And my meditation practice has actually been really good. An interesting thing this week, and so I thought I'd share it with you, is that closing my eyes hasn't been very helpful this week. Every time I close my eyes, it seems like all the lists pop up, which is kind of the opposite of normal. And so actually what I've been doing this week is like kind of keeping a soft gaze, but leaving my eyes open. That's actually helped me stay out of the conversation, out of my mind. So I just thought I'd share it with you because I think it's interesting, some of the rules that we create for ourselves. I think we should always reevaluate what we're doing in our processes because sometimes it shifts, right, and no longer serves us. And so it's what may be working last week may not work this week. And that's okay. I think it's important, a lesson to take because I think one of the things that it shows us is that we really need to come into the present moment. And even though it's a practice and we come back to it every day, I think it's important to always realize what's working for us and change, like not getting stuck in a rut or a groove, right? Even a positive rut. It's kind of funny because even as in meditation, we come back to something and it serves us well. I think it's still important to take stock in how you're feeling at that particular moment. And maybe next week, closing my eyes will come back to serving me again. But I just thought that it was kind of interesting this week that keeping my eyes open was actually more helpful. So anyway, welcome anybody who's joining us online. We'll go ahead and begin today by finding your seat. And so just really sit down through your sits bones, the two bones in your tush. See if you can feel those against the floor. You might need to kind of gently tug any flesh away and really kind of feel yourself root down. Once you can really feel that connection to the floor, see if a different leg position serves you better today. So in yoga we call Sukhasana, just kind of like an easy pose where we stack one shin in front of the others. You can stack a little bit more, just whatever serves you. And of course, knowing at any time you can change your posture, right? So if you need to change the cross of your legs, if you want to go to a wall, lay down. It's all on you. Once you feel that comfort, sitting into the seat, then see if you can extend the spine long. Feel the crown, the top of your head, really extend towards the ceiling. Get wide across the chest, bringing the shoulder blades onto the back body. And then perhaps the backs of the hands to the tops of the knees. You can take a mudra or a hand position, perhaps thumb to index finger. Maybe it's just open palms. You can stack the right palm, hand inside of the left in your lap, whatever you like. Let's begin with taking some long, deep breaths in through the nose and out through the nose. Just beginning to turn our attention inward, inhaling and exhaling. Perhaps beginning to notice what's going on inside, inhaling and exhaling. Oftentimes I think about my third eye, the part of the intelligence, the intuition that we have, that we all carry with us, turning that mind's eye internal to our internal landscape. So instead of analyzing the mind and thoughts, using that intuition to realize how we're feeling in our body. I find that we age, we sometimes begin to ignore the body because it tells us things that we may not like, maybe aches and pains or soreness from workouts. But instead of ignoring the body, let's listen to the body. Let's notice how it's feeling and be okay with that. Inhaling fully, exhaling completely. See if you can lengthen and extend your breath so much so that you feel the breath go all the way down into your lower tummy. Maybe feeling your ribs expand, your belly expand, your side ribs expand, your back expand. Feel your whole torso fill up like a balloon. And then on the exhale, blowing all of that air out. Each cycle of breath is complete and full. Inhaling everything that we need and exhaling everything that no longer serves us. You may notice that thoughts pop up in the mind. Perhaps we return to our normal cognitive thought pattern of creating lists, thinking about what we're going to do later. See if for just 15 minutes you can focus your attention on your breath and on your body instead. Not criticizing, not having negative thoughts towards yourself when you notice that you've become caught up in the conversation of the mind, but instead simply smiling and returning your attention to your breath. Being happy that you realize that you were stuck in one of those thought patterns, that you became the witness long enough to notice an old habit, and then breathe. Maybe inhaling and sitting up a little bit taller, and exhaling, releasing the shoulders away from the ears, chest coming forward slightly. Inhaling and exhaling. As we begin to shift our perspective from the point of the doer in our mind, the doer is the one that's always making the lists and thinking about planning out what we need to do, we begin to shift towards the observer, or Patanjali calls it the seer. Simply witnessing the thoughts as they come and go. Not feeling a need to interact, to analyze. You don't even have to stop the thoughts. You just have to become non-attached to them. You can witness the thoughts arise, and then notice that without your engagement, they gently fall away. For some of this can be a very long process and practice, perhaps months or years. Simply noticing the thoughts and letting them go. Eventually, through concentration on the breath, by examining our inner landscape, by embodying the seer of thoughts, we start getting little glimpses of the space between, of the peace that can exist between the thoughts. Noticing as we let go, as we relax into the breath, that we can find a greater sense of peace. Not allowing the thoughts as they arise to disrupt that peace. Simply letting it be. It's what the mind does. It thinks. Perhaps we can access something deeper through noticing. If you'd like, for the last few minutes of today's practice, I'll give you a mantra. Mantras are tools that we can use to distract the mind. So through the repetition of a mantra, it doesn't allow the mind to think new thoughts. Or at least that's the hope. If the mantra isn't serving you today, simply let it go. But I think it's a fun technique to practice and try and see if it's something that we can put in our toolkit, something that we can lean on when perhaps the breath isn't enough, sometimes I, in my practice, need something a little bit more tangible. So we'll start with one of the most famous mantras in yoga, Om. Om, according to Patanjali, is the base sound of all things. It's the sound of all energy. It's the root sound of all words. And because words often cobbled together become thoughts, it's the base for all thought. And it's said that through its repetition can remove obstacles. Patanjali says in the first chapter, when Om reveals itself, introspection is attained and obstacles fall away. The obstacles that distract thought are disease, apathy, doubt, carelessness, indolence, dissipation, false vision, failure to attain a firm basis in yoga, and restlessness. These distractions are accompanied by suffering, frustration, trembling of the body, and irregular breath. The practice of focusing on a single truth is the means to prevent these distractions. So, if it serves you, see if you can repeat Om in your mind. So, you inhale fully, and then on the exhale, repeat Om silently to yourself. Just fully on the exhale, so it's going Om. Very simple. Inhaling and repeating the mantra on the exhale. If when you're practicing by yourself you want to do it out loud, that's perfectly acceptable. Sometimes it's helpful in the beginning of the practice with the mantra to say it out loud. But eventually, through practice, the audible isn't needed. We can simply repeat the mantra internally to ourselves, and it has the same effect. Notice if through the repetition, thoughts become less. Inhaling fully and repeating Om all the way through the exhalation. Inhaling, sitting up nice and tall. Exhaling and following the Om all the way down into the lower tummy, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. Inhaling fully. Noticing where your attention's gone. The mantra stop and the thoughts pick up. Are you back to creating your lists, back with your internal conversation with yourself? If you are, no worries. Simply smile. Come back to the breath. Come back to a mantra. Whatever serves you. Not judging yourself one way or the other. Just simply being. Noticing. Knowing that there's no work to be done. You're simply here, breathing. Setting the intention to be present. Realizing that sometimes it's easier said than done. Inhaling fully. exhaling completely. Inhaling everything that we need. Exhaling everything that no longer serves us. Inhaling, embodying the seer, the witness. Exhaling, becoming non-attached to the thoughts. Inhaling a sense of peace. Exhaling, repeating the mantra Om. Remembering that you still have permission to make any adjustments that you need. You aren't a statue. You are encased in cement. If you need to change the cross of your legs, move to a different position, give yourself permission to do that. Discomfort doesn't necessarily mean advancement. If the physical body becomes a distraction to the mind, then maybe it's not serving you. The body, like the breath, is a tool. Use it in the way that serves you best. Inhaling fully. Exhaling completely. Inhaling, feeling you root down into the floor and you're extending the spine long. Exhaling, releasing the shoulders down the back body. Inhaling, feeling your body fill up with air. Exhaling, repeating the mantra of Om. Continue your examination of your internal landscape. Not your thoughts, but the quality of the breath, the movements of the body, any sensations that maybe you feel internal, your knees where they cross, perhaps your bottom leg feeling into the floor. Inhaling and sending any energy that you may need to some place of discomfort. But then relaxing and letting go. Noticing what's gripping. And seeing if you can find just enough engagement to be sitting up straight, but not any place of tension of gripping that causes dis-ease in the body. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling everything that you need. Exhaling everything that no longer serves you. Attach it to the breath. Send it out of the body, away from the mind. Inhaling, sitting up tall. Exhaling, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. Next, inhale. Slowly begin moving your fingers, your toes. Just bringing some small, gentle movements back into your body. Bringing your awareness back into the room, back into the body. When you're ready, bring your hands to heart center, an Anjali Mudra or sacred prayer. Being thankful for this practice, for this space, for each other, for our community. Being thankful for the gift of yoga and all of the yogis who have passed down these teachings throughout the centuries. But mostly being thankful for yourself, for taking time to work on you. It's not a selfish act. If we don't take the time to work on ourselves, then we'll have nothing to give others. The light in me honors and appreciates that same light in each of you. Namaste. Thank you all. That's Om. I'm telling you, that's one of the big things that really helped me a ton when I first started meditating. Just that repetition, it's such a simple thing, but it can really drive out the thoughts. It can just like become this kind of like leaning post like the breath is. So use it, see it. You know, if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you, but it's worth a shot. Beginner's yoga tomorrow at 12. We're going to do it a little bit of flowing. And